evening. It's day 2 of the Ghana Diaspora Celebration and Homecoming Summit, which is happening here in Accra at the International Conference Center. And as your station of possibilities promised, we are here to bring you highlights of the entire event, day 2 of the event, whatever took place at the event ground. So my name is Kofi Opon Ochre, and I say good evening to you. And as you are enjoying this session of DNT highlight of the Ghana Diaspora Celebration and Homecoming Summit, I would entreat you that you call others to also join us so that they can also have bits and pieces of whatever is happening at the event for this year, the 3rd edition for that matter of the Ghana Diaspora Celebration and Homecoming Summit. So today at the event, it was also graced by diasporas, hundreds to thousands of citizens, both home and from abroad. Investors were also present at the event, and you would love what happened today there, because today we had the Finance Minister, Honorable Ken Oforiatta, come to inform us about some figures, economic figures, how the country is doing well economically, talking about the Ghana Beyond Aid agenda of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. He hit something on taxation, So let's go and have the speech of the Finance Minister. And after he delivered the speech, he allowed questions that he gave answers to. Let's have that and come back shortly.
Proliferation of taxes which should not have been, that were abolished, the issue of intervention at the senior high school, so that now more than 290,000 people who might otherwise not have that opportunity now have access to it. I see this journey, as I mentioned, along 3 pillars for it to be successful: the structural revolution of the economy, then the second pillar is a demographic dividend, which is our people. And the 3rd pillar, for me, remains the diasporan effect, which is why I'm so honored that you took the opportunity to come and join us for this. Now, over these 30 months, his government has been able to move our deficit from 9.3% of GDP to 3.9%. I think yesterday he enumerated a number of those. Growth, which was an anemic 3.6%, has moved to 8.1%. IMF predicts that will be the fastest growing economy in the world at 8.8%. Inflation to single digits from 15.4 to 9.4. Debt to GDP has come down to in the 50s. Trade balance positive, and for the first time in decades. The gross investment cover in terms of foreign exchange moving to 4 months, north of $8 billion for that. So our whole budget process has been undergirded by what you call the preferential option for the poor. So in as much as we are a right to center government, the question is your human capital is your best resources.
My name is Bernard Ewusu, and I come from the UK. My question is this: going around the UK, inviting people to come to the Ghana Diaspora Summit. The questions that we usually get, and also with our network in the UK, people are yearning to put something into Ghana. Last 2 years, we heard you mention the diaspora bond. We've also heard you mention some vehicle where some of us who went to school in Ghana may invest in Ghana with some returns going to our alma mater and some coming to us. Can I ask you, how far have you gone with planning for the diaspora bond or any other vehicle that will allow some of us to put something into Ghana and earn a little bit of returns on it? Thank you very much.
Most people know me as Amma Manson on social media. So I've heard a call about Ghanaians in the diaspora, welcome home. You want people to bring talent and experiences. I am one of them. There's a group of us wanting to come back. But what we would like to know is where do we fit in? What is the provision to actually tap into the experiences and the skills that we've developed? What would be the support to nurture what we bring so that the little we bring does not become a bankruptcy exercise? Because that's the fear amongst us. That is my question.
First to Mr. Owusu, the issue of the bond, the educational fund bond, etc., and the vehicle to use it. You know, we've been contemplating really what the best vehicle is to be used. I think we are, and the Nigerians had an instrument out there a couple years ago. It really didn't do that well. That's 150 or whatever million odd people, of a lot more than that. So we began to rethink, you know, what really would be the best vehicle for that. I think we are coming up with an assessment of more of an investment related instrument as opposed to just a bond. And that instrument will invest in a certain category. You know, when you get this requests from your colleges that you go to, you know, there's a box that you take whether it should be the Dean's Fund or scholarship or infrastructure, etc. And my suspicion is that people are looking to be a part of the story, and therefore likely you are going to get most people quite easily giving you $100 or $200 a year to be able to do that. Structuring the instrument to be in infrastructure, hospitals, schools, etc., or sports. And that then will require a different reward system and not necessarily money. And therefore the investments that we put the resources into labeled clearly, you know, Diaspora, National Fund, etc. So I think we've gone a long way in that, and we should be able to bring to the Diaspora office some structure that they can then bring to you for discussion. So we have to do it. It's not all of you that can move home, ready to move home, but a lot of you will more easily do $100 to $1,000 without necessarily looking for an interest, by being sure that there's transparency and management accountability in the running of the fund and in things that we invest to. And Nana talked about the support to nurture diasporans who are coming, and I have two responses to that. In a very selfish way, I would, of course, like the president, push for the establishment of offices such as the Diasporan office to see how we can facilitate and encourage and give literature, etc. Then there's the other story which says that you ask yourself what you can do for your country. You know, the Bible says honor your father and mother, not because they've been good to you or bad to you or negative to you. It's just a command. How do you want to honor your country? And when Angie and I came back, we told ourselves, nobody is going to drive us out of this country again. What risk do I want to take to be able to be part of the story? But certainly, with my knowledge of how diasporans have helped in Israel, in India, or in China, we would try to put the framework for you to operate. Just as when you go to America, they try to manage the economy well, systems are working, but not because, you know, there's a personal thing about it. So those are the two. Be inspired by what the founding fathers have done, and some of them died doing it, so we can also die doing it. And then be inspired by what the president has done these 30 months, being very particular about inoculating the problem you have mentioned. But I think those two will be really powerful, sense of direction for you to take the risk to come. Thank you.
So after the fact-informing speech and an interaction by the Minister for Finance, Ken Ofori-Atta, which was very much, which received a lot of applause at the auditorium, then we had the director, the general, Registrar General of the Registrar General Department of Ghana, in the person of Jemima Owari, also come to inform these diasporas and then businessmen, investors who are present at the event, how they can go through the registration process of their businesses if they want to do business here in Ghana. Let's have the address.
We are a department under the Ministry of Justice. And basically, our whole mission is to ensure that we register businesses, we administer estates, we register marriages, and we register also industrial property rights. Basically, everything starts with registration of businesses. That is what I'm sure will be dear to your hearts. Initially, before we came far with our reforms, registering a business in the department used to take as many as 20 to 30 days. But now, with all the reforms that we've currently brought, because we've been able to bring online processes into our system, we are now more efficient than we were before. We have a portal that is able to register 6 types of businesses. I'm talking of companies, business names, partnerships, guarantee companies, sole proprietorships, and subsidiary business names. All these businesses can be done online as well as coming into our office. When you come into our office, we have our forms that have now been fused. Initially, you'd have to go to all the various departments to have a business registered. After registering with us, you have to go to Metropolitan Assembly, you have to go to SNIT, but currently we have fused our forms. And based on that, the requirements that would require, we have also put on board the requirements that GRA would also, require from you. We've also put on board requirements of the Metropolitan Assemblies, that is the AMA, and we also have requirements for SNIT. So that is clearly far better than it was before, because at least now we've been able to reduce the time from the 14 days to 3 weeks, to 3 days at most, to create a portal account with a valid email or a TIN, a tax identification number, that is normally generated by GRA. You need to log onto our portal that I've given to you with your username and a password, which will be sent into your email. You'll be registered, and then you can register the 6 types of entities that I've talked of. Company limited by shares, guarantee, business name, subsidiary business name, external company, and with that, you can also pay for it online. You can use a Visa card, MasterCard, or mobile money. Upon approval, your entity will be registered, and you can print the certificates, the electronic certificates and the profiles from the portal. But what happens is most people would prefer to still go through the traffic and come into our office. Once you get there, I want to assure you that based on the sensitization that I've now been given, I'll have a customer service point for diasporans. Just let them know that you are from the diaspora, and then I'll get my lovely staff to help to walk you through the process.
After the speeches and addresses by these high-profile personalities who are occupying government positions and they're managing it so well, then there was an interactive forum for the day. But before that, let me take you back to the theme for the day 2 of the event, because before so day 2, the theme for day 2 of the event was propelling Ghana as an investment hub, opportunities for the diaspora. Propelling Ghana as an investment hub, opportunities for the diaspora. So right after the address by the Alexander Dodu, the director for Ghana Standards Authority, then there was a panel discussion, a forum, and then the theme for the forum, the information session, was returning home, addressing practical diaspora needs. Returning home, addressing practical diaspora needs. And The panel who sat in for this very session of the event were Alexander Eduse, Director of Ports at Keta. He was there. We had Kwabna Apia, Managing Director, State Housing Company. We had Emmanuel Kofi Inti, Commissioner General, Ghana Revenue Authority. We had Jimaimo Owari, Registrar General. We had Sandy Osei Ajiman, Board Chairman, Ghana Export Promotions Authority. The interaction was so great. People were very much informed, and I believe that as you also enjoy this interaction here on the highlight of the Ghana Diaspora Celebration and Homecoming Summit, you are also going to have a lot of information at your fingertips.
Was to ensure that our women farmers get the best of life that they need, their lifestyles. It was a very tough journey, but we've been able to get to our quality issues. We have established labs because from the beginning, the whole concept was to export to the diasporan Africans, especially the West Africans, because we realized that palm oil as a product, as a food ingredient, was a niche product when it comes to diaspora, because we're all used to using the vegetable oil. So that was the bane of our business. And then we realized that we can only do that by gathering these women who were doing very small businesses in the village. It wasn't that easy, quite difficult at the beginning of the time, because a lot of us were not using measurements, and they didn't understand checks. Payments were by cash. At that time, infrastructure was not as good as now. But we've been able to come up with a lot of, by using the Ministry of Agriculture Extension officers in these areas to bring these things up. And then I'm very happy to say that we started with 5 women. We are over 5,000 women now, and we'll be able to create a cooperative system that is really helping us.
Exactly.
I went on a search for qualified machinists, couldn't really find the kind of quality I wanted, and established a training center. And soon, I had quite a number of young women training under me. We ran 3-year courses, and these young ones with me manufactured clothing that were soon worn by First Ladies of Africa. And one of my marketing strategies really was to reach out to agencies and institutions in the country to show them what we could do, so that it wasn't limited to a little tailoring shop, but to begin to explore how to get out into the markets. And also because financing was a problem, I found a way of going high up market. And going up market means right from the start, quality has to be a hallmark. So training was a key thing. And in reaching out to agencies and even development partners, I came to the notice of the EU office here, who sponsored me 3 years running to showcase my designs in Paris and Dusseldorf with top designers of the world, which it resulted in my being registered or spoken about or written about in the Catwalk book about the 20 top designers in Africa.
We are generally very skeptical people, and so consolidation has always been a very difficult topic. We try to advise companies, multinationals, the government, and we've found it very difficult in terms of getting people to open up equity so that their companies can be transformed into big multinationals. As I mentioned earlier, I sit on the board of MBSSI, and our goal over there is to make sure that companies can transform themselves from a micro company to a small company to a medium scale company. And again, all of this requires consolidation and ability to open up equities. I've been fortunate enough to list a couple of companies on the Ghana Stock Exchange as well as the London Stock Exchange, but we need more consolidation. For example, all of last year, I believe a lot of us followed the news in terms of the banks and the financial sector And even though some of it has led to some of the economic difficulties that people feel in the current country, I believe that once the consolidation happens and everything, the implementation happens, it will be good because the banks will be able to do bigger transactions that will benefit the whole vision of the Ghana Beyond.
And yes, we set very ambitious and audacious targets because I think that will propel us to do a lot more than we've been doing before. Prior to 2017, the average FDI annually was somewhere in the region of 2.5 billion. In 2017, through rigorous marketing, new strategies, and exposure, we managed to up our game, and total FDI was in the region of $4.9 billion. Then in 2018, we, almost in consonance with global flows, we came down to $3.3 billion. But the issue of FDI is not just about what we do, it's also a factor of the economic circumstances, the regulatory frameworks, and the business environment. So even as we go out seeking FDI, we have to work hard to ensure that we have the right competitive environment, because investment attraction is competitive. If the investor comes to West Africa, he'll look at Nigeria, he'll look at Ghana, he'll look at Cote d'Ivoire, he'll look at Togo, he'll look at Benin, and find which country is most attractive to him, and he can do his business unencumbered and make his money unencumbered and then take it out if he has to, or expand his business.
And that was great. We promised you and that we are delivering to you the highlight of the Ghana Diaspora Celebration and Homecoming Summit 2019, which is happening at the International Conference Center on DNT, the Diaspora Network Television. Indeed, we are making it possible so that you would be informed of every single thing that is happening at the event ground. Our dear brothers and sisters who have been out of the country for years are home now to look at the opportunities that are available in the country at the moment. They brought home investors, and they are also ready to invest their skills acquired and everything, resources, so that the Ghana we are having today is going to see significant growth in the nearby future. So after this, there was a break session, and then we came back again, and then there was also another technology dialogue, propelling Ghana's growth through digitization. The theme for the technology dialogue was propelling Ghana's growth through digitization. So those who sat in for this dialogue was Joseph Anoche, Director General, National Communications Authority, Lavina Owusu, Chief Director at Mesti, Kofi Dazi, CEO of Rencard. We have Angela Tremantin Jimo, Managing Director of IBM, and then we have Rosie Finn, CEO of Busy Internet, all present so that we could have a very wonderful and informing technology discussion.
So I strongly believe that for any economy to evolve towards its goals in transformation, that ultimately the people who are experiencing the problems or challenges that you're seeking to overcome should ultimately be the same people who are designing and implementing the solutions. That's the only way you have a real transformation which happens. So to use an example, if I am sitting and living in Accra and I'm experiencing mosquitoes and malaria, the experience I have is a significant aspect to understanding what the solution, design, and response should be. Now, whereas we look at digital transformation as being relatively the same, regardless of what geography or market you are in, there are always local nuances. The local nuances usually pertain to how the people who live in that market engage. So how do we get our driver's license locally? How do we buy land locally? How do we identify properties locally? How do we do these things in Accra? What character do we give to these things that we're trying to transform? So when you understand these intimately, then you may apply the right technologies in the right ways so that people who will be impacted by them actually adopt them?
From where we sit as the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, our mandate is to try to propel economic growth through the application of science, technology and innovation in all aspects of the economy. So, being a central government agency, we have our mandate mainly in the area of policy formulation and monitoring and evaluation of the implementation of the policies. So from the national level to so far as digitization is concerned, in the area of science, technology and innovation, we've come out with a national STI policy which provides the framework for science, technology and innovation to drive development. Now, we believe the poverty gap is a technology gap, and mainly our challenges stem from not really a lot of decisions are taken not based on proper data. Sometimes the data is there, not properly stored, and the way we go is digitization. So we are moving from analogous data storage to digitization, computerization, and binary. So the ministry is championing the setting up of a high-performance computer center where we are installing computers with high memories that can process voluminous data, and this will be made available to both the public and the private sector.
With the emerging technologies, I think that the kind of economy that we have and the state of the economy right now is actually ripe for some of these emerging technologies. For example, with IoT, which is the Internet of Things, it basically allows you to be able to connect different items in a particular area or even across a wide geographical area. So a good practical use of that could be helping to optimize irrigation on large farms, or tracking animals, or tracking different kinds of animals. And actually, it's very interesting that the Kofi Annan Center at Ridge actually has some research labs that are working hard to create and test some of these technologies. In terms of machine learning, artificial intelligence, I think right now that the best solution I see could be for language translation. I think that most of the machine learning applications that are being built out there are focused on foreign languages, but there's also room for local innovators to come up with machine learning or artificial intelligence applications that could deal with natural language processing of local languages.
114 billion you mentioned represents about 8% of our contribution to GDP in all of Africa. That number is a little higher actually in Ghana. And in 2025, the expectation is that more than 10% of our GDP will be due to mobile technology. And this hasn't happened by chance over the last couple of years. I think a lot of kudos has to be given to the government of Ghana for some of the policies and regulations they put in place to make it possible for mobile technology to leapfrog and grow as fast as it has. If we think about some of these regulations, an example would be the fact that 3G was required for all of the telecommunications companies to roll out in places that they otherwise might not have rolled out. So you go to some rural areas, you'll realize that they will have 3G networks there. And it's not necessarily profitable for the telecoms company to be there, but just because of the fact that the license mandates it, there are parts of the country that can now enjoy 3G.
So that is it. Today's event was very much great, very much informative, with the finance minister, with people who are occupying government positions coming present at the event ground to inform these are diasporas and businessmen who are here in the country to invest and take advantage of the opportunities, the resources that Ghana has, so that Ghana would see the growth that we wish to see as a country. We at DNT, we also want to say that a very big akwaba to all our dear brothers and sisters who have been out there for quite a number of years and are now home to contribute their quota to national development, to the Ghana Beyond Aid agenda by the President, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Let me inform you that tomorrow is going to be the last day of the event, and guest of honor for the last day of the event, the closing ceremony of the event, is going to be the Vice President, Dr. Bawumia. So the theme for the event this year, once again, is recognizing diaspora contributions towards nation building. Recognizing diaspora contributions towards nation building. My name is Kofi Opon-Ochre, and this is Diaspora Network Television. We made it possible so that you could have highlights, bits and pieces of everything happening at the 2019 Ghana Diaspora Celebration and Homecoming Summit happening here in Accra. Now we leave you with Year of Return by Tuga. We say good evening, enjoy the rest of your day. It's DNT. Do not leave here, enjoy the rest of our